Now, while club shares have been around for decades, they're now being reevaluated by investors looking for stability and long-term value outside of traditional markets in a low inflation, slow growth backdrop. With the peso strengthening and rate cuts widely expected, more Filipinos are turning to alternative assets that offer both lifestyle benefits and potential appreciation. Once seen mainly as status symbols, club shares are now being treated as asset-backed investments tied to prime real estate, exclusivity, and demand for leisure. Joining us to break it all down from pricing trends to the 2025 outlook is Eduardo Galvez, the president of GGNA Club Shares Philippines, the country's largest SEC-registered firm, trading both proprietary and non-proprietary club shares. Hi, Eddie. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Mikey.
Yeah, good to have you. It's interesting. Let's talk about the club share market in the Philippines, starting with an overview of the demand. How has demand been so far in 2025 amidst the slower growth, low inflation environment and the potential rate cuts by the BSP?
Well, probably I would characterize it as cautious but consistent. No, because club shares has become a part of the lifestyle of Filipinos in the niche market, obviously, that we're talking about, and also for corporations, no, as part of the benefits that they offer their employees, their top employees.
Okay.
Rather.
When you say, Eddie, growth has been consistent, what do you mean by that? Say over the last 5 years, how has the demand been? How has it increased year on year in percentage terms?
5 years ago, the horizon, even 10 years, might even be a better horizon. The last 5 years, the top 10 club shares in terms of price have seen an appreciation of roughly an average of 181%, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And if you expand that horizon to over the last 10 years, the appreciation of these top 10 have actually been about 500%, so times 5.
Outpacing many real estate returns.
Yeah, well. And again, if you expand the list to include the 20 top club shares, the increase is even more. Over the last 5 years, the top 20 have averaged about 230% appreciation. And over the last 10 years, 700%. Mm-hmm. So overall, out of the 60 or so club shares, about 67, I think, that I've traded, representing around 40 clubs, over the last 10 years, the actual appreciation has been about 800%, 8 times.
Okay. I don't want to put you in a spot, but
Sure.
Would you be able to tell us who those top 10 clubs are? If you can name 10. If not, we can do 5.
Well, they're the usual suspects, Mikey. You got your Manila Golfs, you got your Orchard, Santa Elena, of course, Canlubang, Alabang, even clubs already like in Cebu Country Club has appreciated tremendously, and up north you have your Tagaytay Highlands. Mm-hmm. So it's a broad spectrum, really. Mm-hmm. No?
It's a broad spectrum, broad price range. Also, who's buying club shares today, Eddie?
Well, right now, I first you got to understand our business also. On the one hand, you're right. There are
actual club shares.
Yes.
And then there is the rental.
Yes.
You can rent the club shares.
Which
is the bulk of your business?
Well, about 55% of our business are really rentals.
Good half. Okay.
Yes. Now, who are buying the club shares? I think we're just lucky enough to be in a niche market where I'm not saying they're immune to political or economic shocks, but maybe they hurt a little bit less.
That's right.
So and then you have the legacy. They have children growing up, taking over the businesses and all of that.
It's an inheritance play too.
Yeah, and I think we can agree that no matter what you say, the Philippine economy is still expanding. So this niche market that we cater to is still expanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the universe of the club shares is not really growing as much as it used to back in the mid-90s, if you recall.
Yeah. Okay. Are the people buying, are they more strategic investors? Are they more lifestyle investors? What's that mix like?
I think it's a mix, but obviously with the price increase we've experienced over the last 10 years, people have taken note of that, and a lot of the strategic investors have bought, no? Mm-hmm. So now there's more of a lifestyle purchase as well, because I think they realize that the unique aspect about club shares is there's a usage aspect there.
Yeah.
You can enjoy it.
You can enjoy it.
Diba? You work hard for your money, you deserve to enjoy, your family deserves to enjoy. Mm-hmm. So not only are you getting into an investment, you also have the usage, and at the same time, if you're tired of using or you don't want to use it, you can always rent it out.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to go about
Yeah.
it. It's also a real estate play for the developers. With the Rockwell is putting up a beach club in Batangas, similar to what the Ayalas did with Agvaya.
Agvaya, yeah.
Can you tell us more? You know more than me about that.
Well, I'm if I may be candid,
Yes.
I also have to be a little bit, I can't reveal so much yet.
Okay.
All right.
What you can tell us?
So I know they're putting up, again, like you said, an Anvaya type in Lian, Batangas, that will, I think the plan is 27 holes, and they're also gonna sell real estate, just like Anvaya did, and Anvaya has done very well.
Yeah,
as I'm
lots
sure.
of ways to invest. How have prices of club shares? You mentioned already for the top 10 that they've increased exponentially.
Yeah.
What about for the other club shares that aren't as premium?
As I mentioned earlier, if we did an average of all of the club shares over the last 10 years, 800%. So even those that were laggards before, but because I used to categorize them between, those that are over 5 million, those over a million, or a lot of shares now are over 1 million. I mean, so even the laggards have caught up. Like even Rockwell, to be honest, for the longest time, Rockwell was hovering around 250, 300, and then suddenly, boom! Now it's at 1 million.
So, Eddie, what does this tell you about the economy that we have, the Philippine economy? What does that tell you?
I think it talks about resilience. There's a resilience there. Sure, I mean, we're going to go through our hard times, but I believe the economy is characterized by the Filipinos, and Filipinos are resilient people.
For people that buy club shares, liquidity is often a concern. How long is the turnover time, generally speaking, for club shares?
If people agree on the price, right, and the documents are complete, wow, a matter of days, 2 days, 3 days. I mean, so you talk about liquidity, especially if you're talking about the premium shares, right? So, it's pretty fast. Of course, it can drag on for weeks because we've had documentary challenges where we couldn't close the sale.
The challenge is getting it at the price that you want, is
Yes.
meeting halfway the
Right.
price. Speaking of the price, there are big price gaps, spreads between buyer bids and seller asks. What is driving the disconnect? What's driving the disconnect?
I think, first of all, I mean, you have clubs like Manila Golf, where you only have 600 authorized shares. You have Canlubang that has 840 shares. Santa Elena, 1,250. And for example, Canlubang only has 1,400 shares despite having 36. So, I mean, again, there's a finite number of shares that's being traded out there. And when you start talking about these exclusive clubs like Manila Golf, unless they really need the money, the people are not going to sell, right? I mean, and if they sell, they will want their price. So the buyers have to be willing to pay for that luxury, for that
It
exclusivity.
adds to the premium.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your outlook for club shares in the second half of 2025 and perhaps beyond?
Like I said, I mean, we've been through the 1998 Asian crisis, which was really bad in the club share market, to be honest. I mean, you see the 50% drop in price and demand. But people have learned, right? Even the banking system has learned, right? In terms of, because club shares underlying asset, as you mentioned earlier, is what? Real estate.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that if we can just go through this, I mean, the markets has appreciated tremendously over the last 10 years. Any market needs a pause, right? Needs a little bit of correction. That makes for a healthy market. So I believe that if once we go through this phase, it will come back even stronger. I mean, the demand will be more robust.
Now, the demand for leisure and investment and will always be there.
Yeah.
And club shares offer that value. Okay, before we go, we're going to do a quick fire round, quick questions and tight answers. All right, you ready?
Okay.
All right, best value club share in 2025.
Best value club share 2025. Shoot. Canlubang?
Okay. Best club to close a business deal. I think the answer is obvious. It's the
Of
most
course, Manila
expensive
Golf.
one. Okay, Manila
you
Golf.
got power intimidation right there.
Right. Okay. Club with the best golf course.
Santa Elena.
Santa
probably.
Elena, okay.
Although, personally, I love Canlubang because of the natural setting, the very natural setting.
Right. Yeah, okay. Club with the best amenities.
Polo Club. Polo Club, I think. I mean, let's take away the golf. Obviously, it doesn't have a golf course, but food.
I would
everything.
agree for sports, food,
Yeah.
and leisure. Best overall club, would that still be Polo?
I would say so. We used to have you used to conduct a Club of the Year awards with Philippine Inquirer with Miss Sandy Prieto. There was a time Santa Elena always won in terms of golf course, so we stopped it after a while. But
Okay.
I think there's, I mean, in terms of club, I think Polo overall will still be the best.
Yeah.
In terms of golf, might still be Santa Elena, to be honest.
Okay. And why should millennials look to club shares as an investment?
Well, as the last 10 years have shown, if you miss it in your portfolio, you really miss a tremendous opportunity, right? I mean, and secondly, hey, I mean, I think it's a good mix for them because it also kind of forces them to balance their life.
Yeah.
Club shares is about also enjoying life's
and
luxuries.
it's going to be a great perk for families
for
as
family.
well.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Eddie Galvez, for your time and for talking about the club share market with us.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.